So I was speaking with my neighbor, and we were actually discussing reincarnation. And I'm not going to really get into that subject right now of the thoughts I have of it and concepts I, run through the mind and stuff like that. But especially after addressing these concepts here, I guess it would be perceived to be unnecessary. Once we understand this, time is the concept of duality. For those of us that understand that everything is a thought, then that may hit a little stronger with understanding what I'm trying to address here. After I was outside speaking with my neighbor of reincarnation, I instantly began meditating and just going into things. And you may have to refer back to the first video I uploaded for understanding existence, because to understand where I was at with these levels. So I was going as deep as I could go within the self. Others that meditate or really get into the self can understand where I'm trying to get at. And I was trying to go as far in as I could go, all the way. And I got to a point to where there was a barrier. And I knew at that moment that with a single thought, I could find truth and get there and cross that barrier. But if I cross that barrier, then everything that I'm experiencing now and everything that's having an experience now and all these reflections of the all would collapse and the experience would be done. And when I understood that, and then I asked myself if I should make that choice, and I was very interested and very curious into what would go on if I crossed this barrier. And I had sort of thoughts of a DMT experience, to where if I would cross it, that all form would just begin to dismantle and fold in on itself. And I thought that was really interesting, given that I was just going there through not thinking. And so whenever I was kind of eager to make that decision, a big anyone that's ever sensed negativity, like negative energy, in its raw state, I guess you could say, it's fully energized state, would understand kind of the feeling that came over me whenever I was trying to go there. And it almost gave the illusion that it stood in the way of the barrier. And then I realized that actually that negative energy was the barrier, and that barrier itself was time, and that time is the concept of duality. Because without time, you can't have the negative. You can only have the reality, but the reality is singular. It's a singularity. And I'm probably using that word incorrectly with all the sciences. They jumped on that one. But whatever. But it's one. And you can't have that. You can't have that polar opposite. So without time, negativity cannot exist. It cannot function, cannot be experienced, perceived, imagined, the disillusion, whatever, what have you. And that is the thing, and that's where everything comes into play when you think of society, routines, how we worry about stuff, the past, the future, and we're creating that bridge, our applications, what we think about, what we want to do, and then applying it. We are making time as we are going about it, and time is not our friend because it houses the duality. And what I'm trying to get at is we have the power within us, because the power is within all. You can look at science that just constantly analyzing and looking in and finding that same energy within everything. Everything houses the everything essentially. And the best way that I can describe it is everything happened like that, even faster than that. I can't even do it fast enough. And it's done. It was over. And what's happened is that very single moment has been pulled apart and slowed down. And as it's pulled apart, it's only one moment. So it's found in all of everything. And that's why everything's a hologram, because it's that one moment just stretched out. Now, understanding that, we can understand of where I was going with the meditation and how I was accessing that, and how it is indeed possible by anyone, anything with that consciousness. Because within all those little fragments, if the all is in all of that, then each one of those fragments can go inside itself, find that all, and use that. And that all is beyond time, it's beyond all this, it's beyond any of this. What I'm trying to address here is one single mind can end all of this just by one single thought, which is actually no thought. Because once there is that even little bit of thought, then you're stretching it out. I mean the purest form of no thought. Because even when we're meditating and we're going in levels, astral projection, ethereal experiences, we still are, have that figment of time, and we're creating this sense of time. But the purest thought with no time, any of us can access. And it will end all of this, because it is the reality and it is the truth. And that whenever in the face of truth, everything that doesn't exist just disappears, for it never was. And that moment, we can speed that up. And I think each time we're meditating and we're getting closer to this, we're speeding this up and we're making it go faster and faster, because time is ending and time is accelerating, and we can feel the acceleration. And it is like that one little moment that opened up and now it's folding back in on itself. Hinduism refers to it as the out-breath, in-breath of God. Did the out-breath, now we're coming on the in-breath. You can look at it as time unraveling, then raveling back up. It's all going on no matter which way you perceive it, because time is ending and time is collapsing. Because time is duality, and duality is ending.